All right, today's gonna be a very exciting day. It's gonna be hectic because we're gonna be covering basically most of Hollyland's wireless HD transmission systems. If you don't know what I'm talking about some of the highest tech that's available in the industry. So what you are looking at right now is some of the transmission systems that Hollyland has to offer. And if you don't know what these things are, well, you definitely need to check out some of my previous reviews on these things. But in a nutshell, these allow you to wirelessly view the footage coming live from your camera. And now this is not only important to have in a large crew for filmmakers, but if you are a run and gunner like myself, if you're a one-man crew, then this thing will make your life so much easier, especially for those of you who shoot a lot of cooking videos, a lot of those overhead angles. They definitely need wireless transmission. You don't want long HDMI cables dangling around. It's such a pain. So these beautiful things right here, they get rid of all of that. And on top of that, if you want to rent your gear, you can charge top dollar for this. Anyway, let's go ahead, go one by one and compare these units side by side. I'll tell you what are the pros, what are the cons of each, and overall which one I have been using lately because I've thoroughly tested all of these units. And we're gonna go ahead and start off with the cheapest unit, something that most consumers might be interested in because of the price and ease of use. And that would be these two units right here. This is the Mars X and the Mars 300 Pro. And the difference between these things, well, for one, this one, the Mars X, has a built-in battery and the size of it is much smaller. We also have the footage going directly to your smart device using Hollyview, which is an app by Hollyland. But this unit, the Mars 300 Pro, also has that app. So both of these units get 300 feet of range. Now, the big advantage to the Mars 300 Pro is that you can also have the option to get the receiver unit with the transmitter. And this will overall get you a much more stable connection, and it will create less of that latency. The Mars X, on the other hand, uses a Wi-Fi signal that goes directly to your smart device. There won't be any receiver unit with this device. Overall build quality, both of these units are made out of metal, aluminum to be exact. We also have two different power options on the Mars 300 Pro. You can either use the Sony MPF style batteries, or you can hook it up directly to your outlet that's coming out of your wall. With the Mars X, you also have two different options. However, we have a built-in battery that lasts you about 2 to 3 hours on a full charge. And we have the optional port on the side here. It's a USB-C port, which gives you the option to hook up an external battery pack for even more runtime. Both of these units also rely on an HDMI signal. The Mars 300 Pro has an HDMI in for the transmitter and an HDMI out for the receiver. Both of these units also support a firmware update via the Hollyview app. And overall user experience is great on both ends of these transmitters, but I do prefer the Mars 300 Pro. It's just a more professional setup for me. The connection seems to be more stable in my opinion for my testing. I also like the ability of using Sony MPF style batteries for the Mars 300 Pro because those batteries are very widely used. And yeah, I just think that this is a much more professional option. We also have the option of a HDMI loop out. So for some of Sony users that have that issue of the screen blacking out whenever you have an external monitor connected, this will resolve the issue because you can hook it up and use it with the loop out option on your monitor or on the transmitter. Now with the Mars 300 Pro, there's two different options available. There's the standard option, which has the built-in antennas, and there's the enhanced version, which has the add-on antennas. So in my opinion, I like the standard version more. It just looks better and aesthetically it just fits my kit a lot better and it draws less attention. Next up, we have the Mars 400, 400S, and we have the Mars 400S Pro. The Mars 400S Pro is actually the newest transmission system from Hollyland. We're gonna talk about that in just a second, but let's talk about the slightly older versions, which is the 400S and the 400. The Mars 400 and 400S are very similar. There's only one difference, and that is the SDI input and output. The 400S allows for both HDMI in and SDI in, while the 400 just allows HDMI in. And don't forget, all of these devices have a digital screen on them, which allow you to change the channels, do channel scans, and overall adjust some of the settings within these transmitters. No need to go through an app or any of that. You can adjust the settings directly on the transmitters. And you also get real-time data from these displays, so there's no surprises when your battery runs out. The Mars 400 and the 400S run off of the same Sony MPF style batteries, just like on the Mars 300 Pro, and that makes this system that much more professional. You do get about 100 feet more range compared to the Mars 300 Pro, so keep that in mind. Now let's talk about the Mars 400S Pro. This is the newest transmission system from Hollyland, and all you got to do is take the Mars 400 plus the 400S, combine them, and slightly tweak them to make them better, and you will get the Mars 400S Pro. Let me explain. The latency has been improved from 0.1 second to 0.08 seconds. And that slight less latency makes it a lot more accurate for pulling focus on your camera. A lot of people need something this fast to pull focus, and the 0.08 second delay is a lot better than having that 0.1 second delay. On top of that, we have a different aesthetic, as I mentioned earlier, and this aesthetic brings the center of gravity down lower to your camera. So if you use this unit with, let's say, your gimbal, it makes it a lot easier to balance and overall a lot easier to use. And again, it makes it look a lot better. It's less noticeable on your rig. On top of that, we have a built-in cold shoe adapter with a 1/4 20-inch port at the bottom, allowing you to mount this on your camera directly without having to rely on a magic arm or ball head mount. And just like the other transmission systems that I mentioned in this video earlier, this will connect to the Hollyview app, so you can monitor this off of either a receiver feed or through your app on your phone. So it's great to have multiple options to view your feed. And just like before, we have the ability to hook up the Sony MPF style batteries to this unit as well, and we can use external power coming out of, let's say, an outlet or a V-mount battery pack. This unit also gives us slightly more options within the built-in menu, and we can even control the fan speed, and we can turn it off completely just in case you need to be extra quiet while you're filming. Now let's move on to the Cosmo 600. This is part of Hollyland's professional lineup of transmission systems. Why? Because of the much lower latency and the longer range. And the latency, wait for it, is 0.001 second. Could you imagine? Almost zero latency. So that makes this unit the most optimum for pulling focus. So for those of you who are focus pullers and you need something that's reliable and has the longest range out of the current lineup I have right now, it's the Cosmo 600. On top of that, you can even get the Cosmo M7, which is a receiver and monitor built into one package from Hollyland. And this monitor is honestly one of my favorites to use because it has a receiver built in, so I don't have to bring too much gear with me. I can just bring the transmitter and the monitor and I'm set. Along with that, we have an SDI loop out option, and we have an HDMI in port. So we get slightly more professional inputs on the system simply because it's meant more for those cinema grade cameras. And just like the other transmission systems, we can use the traditional Sony MPF style batteries. Now, one caveat to the Cosmo 600 transmission system is that we can't use it with our smart devices. It doesn't have a Wi-Fi signal. It's meant to be used only with the receiver that comes with the transmitter or with the Cosmo M7. No Wi-Fi signal here. Hollyland also makes higher end models than the Cosmo 600. They make the Cosmo 2000, which is 2,000 feet of range and with similar latency. So definitely check that out. I'll leave links to all these transmission systems down in the description box below. Definitely check out these transmission systems, guys, because they will not only make your lives so much easier, but you can also charge more for your work, because these things offer a lot of value. So remember, check out the links down below. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below, and I'll see you in another video. Peace.